Hello, welcome to the GLP-1 Hub podcast. I'm Anna Reisdorf, registered dietitian, GLP-1 user, and today we have Dr. Craig Primack. He is the head of weight loss at Hims and Hers. Some of you may be familiar with Hims and Hers. They are a platform that not only prescribes GLP-1 medication, but also provides support. And so we are going to talk to him about how they are addressing personalized healthcare, because that is really the direction healthcare is going. It just returned from the annual dietetics conference called FANCY. It's the Food and Nutrition Conference and Expo. And that was the chatter around GLP-1, how it just absolutely has to be personalized. It can't just be go up in your dose or, everybody has to eat the same thing or anything like that. You really need to be working with, at the minimum, a physician, but hopefully also registered dietitian to really support you on your journey. So I went live on YouTube on Friday to talk all about everything that I learned at the annual dietitians conference. So you're going to want to go over to the YouTube channel if you want to watch that. It's GLP-1 Hub on YouTube, and I shared everything that I learned talking to other dietitians, being with my colleagues. And if you need more support on your GLP-1 journey, make sure to check out our GLP-1 Hub store, where I have the Beyond the Shot guide, which helps you understand everything you need to know about nutrition and GLP-1. I also have some recipes and meal plans over there, so check that out and let me know if there's anything that you are looking for that I don't have already. I'd be happy to create something for you to help support you on your journey. And so let's hear a word from one of our sponsors and get on with the show. As a dietitian, I always prefer that you get your nutrition from food and not supplements. But being on a GLP-1 makes that really challenging. So I do recommend that most GLP-1 users take a supplement that has a variety of nutrients to be sure they're meeting their daily needs while on a calorie deficit. Grüns totally meets that criteria. Grüns are a convenient, comprehensive formula packed into 8 gummies a day. The gummies are loaded with 60 ingredients and a whopping 6 grams of fiber to keep that gut flowing. This isn't a multivitamin, a greens gummy, or a prebiotic. It's all of those things and then some at a fraction of the price. And bonus, it tastes great, so meeting your nutrient needs is super easy. If you want to give them a try, you can use the code GLP1 Hub Pod. That's GLP, the number 1 Hub Pod at grüns.co to get up to 52% off your order. Welcome to the GLP-1 Hub podcast. I am very excited about today's guest, Dr. Primack, who is the head of weight loss at Hims and Hers, one of the biggest companies in this space. And to me, made their debut at the Super Bowl with that big ad, kind of made a big splash. So thank you so much for being here. Can you tell us a little bit about your history, your professional history, your personal history, anything like that?
So Anna, thanks for having me, first of all. I am excited to talk to your audience about the world of GLP-1s. You talk about it with them all the time. I'm going to take maybe the same approach, maybe a little different approach, but kind of tell you where I think we are in 2025.
Okay, cool.
My career starts as internal medicine and pediatrics. So I was a primary care doc. And my local hospital wanted a weight loss program, a medical program to go with a good surgical program. And this is 2004, maybe the early 2005. And they sent me to a meeting and they said, become certified, board certified, in obesity medicine, which is not what we now call it. And I took away 2 things from that meeting. Number 1, oh my gosh, opened up my eyes to what we can actually do in this space. Number 1 is I saw people were doing this as a career, which I actually never knew it was a part of medicine we could actually practice. Even though obesity's rates have been climbing since the 70s. And number 2, you can be aggressive yet safe. And I think that's what's been, my career. I started a practice in Arizona that's still going. And I joined Hims and Hers about 2 years ago to bring really to what I like to say is change the weight of the world. And a small practice in Arizona, we only see a small amount of people. Sure. When you go to a world like Hims, you can see a lot more people and impact more people who suffer from this condition, disease, whatever we want to call it. But there's over 100 million adult Americans who suffer from obesity plus another diagnosis. And so There's a lot of people that you can't see on a small basis, and bringing it to a level of digital healthcare like HIMSS, you can be very safe and aggressive in treating them.
Sure. When you started treating people with obesity, these weren't really on the horizon or on your plan so much. So what were you doing then?
Oh, interesting. So I've been asked before, even 5 years ago, can we see where the field is today? Absolutely not. So I still did back in the day what we'd call a comprehensive plan. There are some medicines that have been around since the 1950s, the old phentermines and things like that. You put them together with dietary, I'll say change. It's not always restriction, but it's change. It's improving protein intake. It's movement for both health and mental health.
Sure.
And then there's medications. And we just now, with the GLP-1 components, have a much better tool in our toolbox than we've ever had. All the other ones work for some people, and these don't work for everybody, but they work better and stronger for a larger group of the United States, people, I guess, in the world.
So can you tell me like a little bit more about kind of the internal piece of the program? Like, what do people get when they sign up? I mean, I hope it's not, in my experience, I was an early adopter of GLP-1, and I signed up for an online program. It wasn't HIMSS or hers. And I had a doctor who I never saw, who never talked to, who just kept going up on my dose, and I was miserable. You're doing something different. So tell me what the back end of that kind of looks like.
I'm going to give you two things. One is we're digital healthcare only. You can get healthcare when you want it, where you want it, and within medical cult safety, how you want it. And then we also personalize your experience if you're someone who needs a personalized dose, so to speak. Not everybody needs a personalized dose, but what we've seen in these drugs is people do not stay on them for long periods of time. By 6 months, there was a study out there that said about 80% of people stop these drugs in college, if you take all comers in this particular study. And we did a real world study on our own patients, and it's about 25% of people stop the program by about 6 months. Now, these are not comparable. We did it just of our own patients. It wasn't in a big randomized type study. It wasn't that. But what we tried to do is find real world evidence of what's happening on our platform today. So to go back to your questions, what are we doing different? We are giving a comprehensive experience. So it is from the comfort of your home with your computer or your phone. You connect, and in most states, you message asynchronously with your medical provider. And there's a whole bunch of questions. The more your history has medicines in it, the more you have past medical history of any type, the more questions. It's dynamic. So if you have very little things, you get, I wouldn't say very little questions, you get a medium amount of questions. And the more complex it is, the more questions you get. Once you do that, and it gives you the potential treatments and the benefits and side effects, because these medicines do have side effects, of a potential treatment for you, and you and your medical provider together, through communication, decide what's the best treatment for you. So that's just deciding the treatment. And then it has to be what we'll call comprehensive. That word is the buzzword of what we're doing. You can't just give people a medicine.
Yep.
There is a small amount of people that maybe that's what they needed, and they were doing diet pretty good, they're moving pretty good, they're sleeping pretty good. But that's not the majority of people. Majority of people need some kind of dietary manipulation. We start out very general. Let's make sure you're getting enough protein in your day, and let's stay away from ultra-processed foods. But we also have recipes in the app, and what I like to say about the recipes, my favorite ones are, I call them about 20-minute meals. Nobody wants to cook for an hour, and we don't want to just heat something up either, because that's usually what we'll call ultra-processed. So real foods that we can cook quickly. Then there's a protein tracker in the app for that you can track how much you're taking in. And then there's movement recommendations. It's hard to take someone to figure out where they are and where they need to move. So we have to do that. The person who doesn't do much has to at least, let's start walking. I'm in Arizona. Let's walk in the pool even. Put the water about that much and just walk and use the resistance of the water to be your weight, so to speak. And then let the pool water like support your body as you're doing this. Or if you're someone who goes to the gym, let's change it around a little bit. Maybe add a little more strength training in. The third part of that is kind of all the pieces that go into, the word used to be behavior modification. It's not a sexy word at all, but it's, how do I order off a menu? How do I eat with my family around the holidays? How do I shop for foods in the grocery store? How do I work on my stress and sleep? And all of those things. So we've had some pretty great people who are dietitians and psychologists design content that you can access from the app. And then you can communicate after you get this comprehensive program with your medical provider 24/7, 365. Whenever you have a question, you just message in and very quickly, usually sometimes within minutes, but within hours, someone is getting back to you on if you're having side effects. Maybe you're not losing weight. Maybe you're losing too much weight. Maybe you're not sleeping. Whatever it is, you have a medical provider who's gone through a higher level of training than any primary care doctor gets, I will say. We put together, it's actually over 100 pages document that's teaching the medical providers that are affiliated with HIMSS on how to treat them. And if you qualify for a personalized plan, which there's a lot of things that will qualify you. If you've had prior stomach problems, if you've lost muscle before, if you have energy issues, those are a couple of them. And then there's a couple levers we can use. Sometimes versus the commercial doses, we will slow down your titration because a lot of people go way too fast and that's where they have the side effects. If you're going slower, but then you're not seeing the results, maybe then you message in and say, hey, it's not working very well for me. And so then maybe we can speed it along a little bit. Maybe the top dose that you end at isn't quite the dose that's been recommended as maintenance doses on the commercial plans. We want to find the one that works for you. Everybody's a little different. We don't treat obesity. We treat the individual on how they need to be treated. And I think if you look at the science about this, one day we may not call this obesity. We may call this obesities. This may be 20, 100 different diseases that we all have. We can't see it. It's genetically determined. And maybe one day we can actually test for it, but today we can't. And so we start out treating people with multiple different patterns, but then we figure out what's best for you. And that's where the personalization comes in.
So you mentioned a little bit about dosing, because that was, like I mentioned, my experience was somebody who wasn't, I don't know if it was a man, a woman, I don't know what this person was, hopefully a medical doctor of some kind, because they're writing a prescription, and they were just like up to the point where I actually quit because I went to dinner with my husband and I ate one bite of a delicious, amazing steak, and that was devastating to me. And I was like, this sucks. How do you personalize the dose? Because I believe that that's probably related to your ability to offer the compounded medication. So can you talk about that?
Yeah, so let's talk about compounding in general. Mm-hmm. Compounding as a philosophy has been around for a long, long time, probably even before the commercial pharmacies that we have. The compounding laws are very specifically written, and we use the laws that are currently written, plus the independent feelings or medical opinion of an affiliated provider to say that you need that. And I'll say some of those reasons, which I mentioned, but I think it's worth going through again. I've had stomach problems before. I've had fatigue when I've lost weight before. I get headaches when I've lost weight before. Those kind of things are what first qualifies you. Then you have to say, okay, yeah, I'm interested in learning about that. And then then it gets into a couple questions. We all have that person we know who says, every time I start a medicine, I have to take half a dose because it bothers me, whether it's an antibiotic, whether it's a whatever. And so we ask questions along that. In the past, when you've started medicines, how have you reacted to them? Because even though, again, I don't think we've tested it for genetics, but I do think there's a subtype of people that all of us physicians know who are very sensitive to medications. Mm-hmm. And the second is, what is your tolerance for the side effects? I have some people say, no matter what the side effects, unless I'm in the hospital, keep going. I want to try to lose weight as much as possible. We know, interestingly enough, that the side effects are not what caused the weight loss. Let's start there. Just if you're throwing up or you're feeling nauseous all day, that does not increase your weight loss. So what we want to do, and then I have people that tell me, I have young kids at home. If I have to lay in bed for 3 hours feeling sick to my stomach, I can't be a good parent. Yeah. Or I have a job that, I'm in meetings all day. I can't run to the bathroom because I have, I'll call bowel problems. I'll just leave it at that, constipation, diarrhea, whatever it is. We will then, once we found out you qualify, we'll then taper it or change it based on those type of things. Those are some of the levers. I like to use the word levers that we can pull and push to figure out what is best for you. And then if we didn't choose right away, which it sounds like when you started, they just put you on one plan and just went. And that wasn't right for you, as you just said. And so if we choose the wrong plan based on what we know about you, that's okay. I don't want you to have side effects, but I also want you to have effects. And so we can always change it, or the medical provider can change it based on you letting them know. We do proactive reach outs. We call them check-ins. And so at multiple times throughout the first couple months, you get a message. How's it going? What's your weight? Are you having side effects? Are there any problems you're having? Anything at all you want to discuss with a medical provider? If the answer is no, great. We'll check in with you again. If the answer is yes, then a medical provider will reach out to you and ask for more clarifications. And then together you guys will decide on what's the next way to move forward.
And so is the check-ins with the medical provider always via chat, or can you talk to somebody like on a call like this?
It depends on the state. Most of the time it is asynchronous chat. We're all used to, it's not texting, but we're all used to texting nowadays. Well, many people actually prefer it because you can do it on your own time. I can ask a question here and I can go work, do whatever. And then the answer's back. So I look at it and then I say something back. But it is usually pretty quick because there are a lot of affiliated medical providers who are providing care. It's not always the same person, but it's people who have been trained in the same methodologies.
Sure. So you mentioned at the beginning that 80% of people drop off within 6 months. So why do you think that is that they do that? Is it because they don't understand how the medication works? Is it because they feel like terrible, or what cost?
Yeah. Yes, to all of those things. So a lot of it has to do with side effects. And when you do a forced titration for people where they're really not able to not go up each month except for once, you can stay at any one dose for 2 months on the label of some of the commercial drugs, and you have to go up to high doses as the maintenance dose. There are not each dose is an approved dose, let's just say, approved maintenance dose, that is. And so not everybody needs that. We know for sure there's about 15% of people that are ultra sensitive to these drugs. On the other end, there's about 15% of people that they're just, for whatever reason, and I think it's genetic, that are just still resistant to these drugs. And then there's this 70% in between who do really, really well when you give them the comprehensive approach. I like to call it the 4 legs of the chair. Each of the 4 things I've talked about, the medicine, the exercise, are 4 legs of a chair. If you just only do one of them, just medications, your chair falls over pretty easy. If you add more legs on the ground, your chair is pretty stable. Someone can come and shake you, which I call the stress of our daily lives, and you can weather the storm a lot easier.
So there was a study that I came across that was done in Denmark. They're doing a lot of research. I think one of these companies is there in Denmark. So, they kind of took a personalized approach, like similar to what you're saying, with an intensive behavioral modification. And then they were able to show over a period of time, if they weaned the patient off the medication slowly, they were able to maintain their weight even off the medication for a period. Are you familiar with this? I don't know if it's peer reviewed yet.
Studies like that, but one of the big companies did a study on maintenance, and they kept some of the people on the drug, and I think it was a quarter of the people they took off the drug, and it might have been more, maybe. But anyway, at the end of the 6 months or a year of the study, 75% of people did not keep off their weight. Only about 25% of people did.
Right.
We don't think of obesity. So back in 2013, the American Medical Association, the AMA, deemed obesity as a medical disease. We think of it as a chronic disease, much like your blood pressure, your diabetes, and things. It doesn't just go away. This is not a sinus infection. You don't treat it with an antibiotic for 2 weeks and then it's just gone. The things that drove you to gain weight was not just you eating too much and not exercising. The belief of that is the bias and stigma that goes into obesity needs to stop. That needs to stop today, because there is not 75% of our society has either obesity or is overweight. And those people are not, I can tell you, they're not lazy. They're not just saying, I need to go out and eat more, whatever it is. There is a drive in them, some of them to eat more, some of them to be less active. Some of them have sleep issues. Some of them have other medical things and they have to take medicines that cause weight gain. There's a lot of different reasons people gain weight, and just telling them to eat less and move more does not work. And we need to, as a society, stop that. That is the bias against people with weight. The problem with weight is we carry it on the outside. Everybody can see it. Yeah. If you have diabetes and you're not wearing a continuous glucose monitor and you're not shooting insulin or whatever, nobody knows you have diabetes. Weight is that thing we carry. And for short term, you can diet and exercise and adapt your weight, but it does not tend to last. And so going to the study you quoted, we have not seen big studies done in a good fashion saying people keep off their weight when they stop these drugs. It happens. I can tell you that personal experience says there is a group of people. Some of that we think is, their appetite is so decreased that they're not eating enough protein. And when you don't eat protein, you lose muscle. We know that. with any diet. I'll say even before the GLP-1 drugs, people are losing about 25% muscle and 75% fat when you lose weight. It's probably amplified with the drugs only because you're eating so much less. You are not hungry. Sometimes we have to decrease doses of these drugs just so people have some hunger to eat throughout the day. I'll tell you, I love for that person sometimes meal replacements, protein-based supplements that taste good and have a lot of protein in it and vitamins and minerals. So they can be used along with regular food when you just, I'm not hungry at breakfast. Well, let's get something in you to keep that protein level up, because I think the majority of people aren't getting enough protein in their diet each day.
Yeah, definitely. When somebody does reach maintenance and they're on your program, like what do they do? Because for me, my insurance covers the medication for me, luckily. So, but it won't cover a 2.5. I want to go to 2.5 and it won't cover 2.5, so I got to just stay on 5. So I've just been spreading out my shots.
Yeah.
But
so
with a compound, I feel like I could just go to where I find that stable.
Three things to say. What the dose that got you here, our bodies tend to get a little more resistant to continued weight loss over time. Nobody loses weight to zero. You know what I mean? Like if you take a blood pressure medicine, you don't typically go to zero. You know what I mean? It stops at a certain number. And so if you keep the same dose, maybe it isn't the full dose, but if you keep the same dose over time, it controls your appetite and you're able to maintain. That's one set of people. The next group of people probably are able to decrease their dose somewhat, or as you did, space it out a little bit, so that everything balances. I usually say it's your intake of calories, your output of things you burn, and then your amount of sleep. And they all get in balance. And so you're maintaining. Other people will try to stop their medicines completely. And I always say if you gain even 5 pounds, then just go right back on. The only thing we've lost is time. Don't think, but if you're able to do it, let's keep watching it, because some people can keep it off for a little bit of time. Some people can keep it off for a lot of period of time. And it is, again, the individual that I'm concerned.
Right. I like the idea of being able to personalize it. First, these insurance companies lock you into whatever they think is the right thing. And the ability to personalize it is really what makes a difference. Because there's going to be phases where I'm going to exercise more or less, but like I can't do anything,
Exercise is more or less, your sleep is more or less.
Right.
Your stress is more or less. And we all go through this. And we need to be able to weather the storm, so to speak, of all of these to keep our weight going in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely. So I like to ask at the end, like, what do you think is the future of this personalized medicine? Because I'm digging it. You can do it from your house. You can personalize your dose. You can chat with your people.
So you're speaking my language. Hims and Hers is dedicated to the personalization of healthcare in all the categories that we treat. I happen to be involved with weight. Weight will hopefully forever be something that we treat you, not just your disease, in a personalized fashion when you qualify, in a place and a time, in a method that works for you. Being able to, this is 2025. It's a gin. If your doctor's office, your personal doctor's office is closed on the weekend, it's not that you can't get someone, but they only talk to you in emergencies. In a telemedicine in 2025, the Hims style, you message in with someone and there is someone who takes your messages 24/7, 365.
Right. And so do you see other types of medicine going that direction more and more? What do you think?
Well, not everybody is the right person for telemedicine. I will start by saying that. In our intake process, we ask you a lot of questions, and some of them are designed to say, is this right for you? And I'll say there are some complex, medical conditions that we probably shouldn't treat through telemedicine. That's perfectly okay. There are a lot, I think it's about 8,000 certified obesity medicine physicians in this country. If not, it's closer to 10,000. It goes up every year by about 1,000 people, and I lose count. But they're certified by the American Board of Obesity Medicine. And so there are, in most towns or, and such, there are in-person places that you can go to. The problem is the waits can be up to 5 months. The average person, once you submit your initial documentation, a medical provider at Hims usually, or our affiliated practice, usually addresses you at least with some questions back within 3 hours on average. And so you get what you need when you need it. And I think it will just continue to evolve in this digital first place that we are and get even better than we even do today. More comprehensive, more things, again, tailoring it just for what you need. If you need a little less exercise counseling, maybe you'll get less exercise counseling. If you need a little more dietary advice, let's give you a little more dietary advice, and so forth.
Right. And so do you foresee the future access improving for GLP-1s. I mean, a program like HIMSS, great, maybe not affordable for all the people. Even health insurance is tricky to get it covered. So do you see any hope in that area?
So I do not have a crystal ball. I'll start by saying that each year, and I live in Arizona, so I use that as my base. Less and less people who had coverage early on for the branded name drugs have today coverage for the branded name drugs. And it's at the end of the year on day, I think for the insurance companies, it's a dollars and cents type thing. They are spending millions and millions of dollars on care. That doesn't mean we shouldn't. I actually believe we should spend more on this type of care than other types of care that we may get. Because when you I'm not going to say fix, when you treat your weight, you improve your blood sugar, you improve your blood pressure, diabetes, your blood pressure, your cholesterol, your knee pain, your sleep, your snoring, all those things, your fatty liver, if you happen to have it, all get better with 5, 10, and 15%. When we did an internal white paper that we published recently, we saw the average person in 6 months on a HIMSS personalized program loses 20.9 pounds, and that was 10.3% of their original weight. Awesome. When we looked at side effects, we only saw people reporting 10.3%, much less than the quoted brand names. And we asked them an interesting question. We asked, were your side effects intolerable? Like so bad that I couldn't do the things I wanted to do? It was only 4.5%. 0.5% of all the people. And so I think what we're doing is working, and we hope to continue to bring it in a cost-effective manner with all of your healthcare when you need it and when you want it.
That's awesome. Well, I really, really appreciate all your thoughts and the work that you guys are doing to kind of lead the way in this space, because I think there's a lot of need. I'm trying to do a small part of it.
You're getting the word out there, which is all we can ask for, whether it's HIMSS, whether it's somewhere else. There is treatment for your weight, and you have to find the way that works for you.
Yes, definitely. So the best place to go is
forhims.com. So it's hims.com or forhers.com.
Oh, all right.
hims.com or forhers.com.
Perfect. So I'll add all those links in the show notes, and I really appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of the GLP-1 Hub podcast. I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did. And if you liked the interview and you are loving the podcast, please consider leaving a review. Reviews really help the show grow and help us get even better guests to help you along your journey. And if you do leave a review and you send me a screenshot of what you said, I will send you your recipe collection of choice. I have a collection for breakfast, lunch, and dinner that has over 30 recipes in each collection. So send over that screenshot and I'll send it right over. Just let me know which one you want, because that makes it a little bit easier. And I hope to see you in the next episode. Have a great week. Thank you to Groons for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. Just a reminder, Groons are a convenient, comprehensive formula packed into just 8 gummies a day. This isn't a multivitamin, a greens gummy, or a prebiotic. It's all of those things and then some at a fraction of the price. And bonus, it tastes great. If you want to give Groons a try, you're going to want to check them out at groons.co. That's GRUNS.co. And you can use the code GLP1 Hub POD to get up to 52% off your order. That's GLP, the number 1 Hub POD to get up to 52% off your order.